Yeah, Christine, we're still here on Hacienda and Polaris. I was talking to one of the witnesses here. We were watching that press conference live on our cell phones on the Fox 5 app. And I just want to come over here and ask you, you were sharing your story with me off camera before this, and you heard the sheriff say just one shooter believed to be, that's it, and that he's dead. Tell me what you saw and what you heard. You were at the festival.
Yeah, well, I was obviously just enjoying my time listening, and from behind me, there was a girl that was like 5 feet away, and I immediately heard like a noise that sounded like a glass that dropped, or one of those, things that you throw on the ground like fireworks, and it was extremely loud. That was one shot. And then after I saw that and people crowding around her, then I heard open fire, like a bunch of it in the middle of the crowd. Took off running for my life after that, but the fact that they're trying to say that there's one shooter, it makes sense if there was a sniper. There's multiple gunmen.
So you think there's more than one,
Yeah,
based on what you heard and saw?
Absolutely, and I felt like the shots would never end. Even when I was trying to run, get as far away as I could, it seemed like there was someone constantly right behind me. It was nonstop. So I don't feel like there would be one shooter.
What did you do after that? How much ground did you cover to get to where you and I are standing right now?
I mean, I had to climb over fences. I hopped in a random person's car with at least 20 people in the car. I watched that car hit a girl that fell on the ground to get through a fence, ran through the airport, called my stepdad to come pick me up. I ended up on Paradise and Tropicana, and then I'm here now, obviously waiting to get my car, which is at Mandalay.
So how did you get off the strip? It sounds like you had to run quite a way.
I feel like I ran for 30 minutes, to be honest, and that's why it seemed like it was never ending, and that's why it wouldn't make sense if there's one shooter. The rounds kept going on, and it felt like someone was chasing me.
How much time do you have to think in a situation like this? We've been talking to a lot of people who were at Mandalay Bay, but they weren't at the festival. They heard what was going on downstairs, but you were down there.
I mean, I was right there. I honestly could be dead because I saw someone 5 feet away from me fall to the ground, but you have no time to think. I literally took off and I left multiple friends, which I feel horrible about, but you don't think. You just run and try to live. All I was thinking about was living.
We're listening to some of the sounds from that. I'm listening to it in my ear right now, and our viewers are listening to it as well. It sounds like a lot of shots being fired. It's hard to tell how much of that is return fire, but what did it sound like to you?
Machine guns going off nonstop, and that's mainly what I heard. Aside from the one shot that I saw from the girl that fell behind me, and that was the first shot I heard the whole night. She could have been the first person that was shot the whole night. But that, and then multiple rounds, and I took off running. But even when I was pretty much inside the airport, I could still hear rounds going off. So honestly, I thought there was multiple shooters, and people thought they were being chased. I thought I was being chased.
You and I were just listening to this press conference. At first they were saying just at UMC 2 dead and maybe a couple dozen injured, and we just heard that number spike quite a bit. More than 20 dead, more than 100 people injured. What was your reaction when you heard that first number and then that second number?
Well, 2 dead sounds idiotic and unrealistic completely. I mean, the open fire was in the middle of the crowd during the headliner. People probably instantly were killed. Way more than, it had to be 20 people instantly killed. So 2 dead sounds ridiculous.
And you saw all of this because you were right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Well, I saw one person fall right behind me, but then after that, it's just panic and climbing over fences to literally survive. People pushing each other. I had a man step over me to get over me.
How hard is it to leave your friends behind? I'm sure so many people get lost in the chaos.
It's very hard, and you're not thinking about any of that when you're running, though. I was definitely not on my phone. I mean, you call them once you get to a safe spot, which I had friends that were hiding out in an airport hangar for a good minute. But you never think this is going to happen to you or your city, or especially when you're at a country festival.
You were also telling me you're celebrating a birthday, huh?
Yeah, well, I got invited tonight to celebrate my birthday. That was yesterday, so this was my birthday present from my friend.
Sorry, this This is how it had to happen, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tell us your story.
Thank you.
This is the first person we've seen out here on Polaris and Hacienda that's actually been at the actual festival and is a witness to what it sounds like was the first shot, or at least the very first few shots there. Just a lot of shock listening to that press conference. It's one thing to hear the numbers, it's another thing to actually see the people, understand, see the faces, the human lives lost in all of this. So we're going to stay out here and keep talking to people. A lot of people are, it looks like, finally able to leave and get rides. We were talking to that Uber driver earlier about getting people out of this area. A lot of those people who would have liked to get out of this area have been able to hop into a car for free, drive somewhere safe, even if it's just another casino that's off the strip like the Orleans or the Rio. They've just been hopping in the car saying, I don't want to be out here in the cold. I want to be away from the chaos. They don't believe it's going to be possible to get back to their car. Some people are still hoping that at some point the strip will be reopened from this entrance at least, and they can get their vehicles. But just a lot of chaos, still a lot of questions, and of course, you're still uneasy listening to the sheriff, the way he spoke about, this vehicle description, this person of interest. You hear a report like that coming from a witness that it sounds like, when you're in the thick of it, it sounds like there's more than one shooter. Certainly a lot of people still uneasy, because I have talked to a lot of people, not just that one witness, but other people who were not so close that have heard similar things. And of course, it's often the case that it sounds, you hear the rumors, it sounds bigger than what it is. In this case, we're hoping that Metro is right, and it is just that one shooter, and that one shooter is dead. Guys, we'll throw it back to you in the studio.
Adam, thanks.